You ever spill a secret thinking it was harmless, and suddenly your life gets messier than it ever needed to be? Yeah, we've all been there. Some things are better left unsaid. Not because you're hiding something, but because not everyone deserves access to you. In today's video, we're diving deep into things you should never tell anyone. And trust me, some of these might surprise you. No one is secrets told to you in confidence. There's a unique kind of power in being trusted with someone else's secret. Whether it's a friend confiding in you about a relationship, a coworker opening up about workplace struggles, or a sibling sharing something deeply personal. These are not just words. They are emotional currency. And that's why the first thing you should never tell anyone is a secret that someone else shared with you in confidence. Locked with key trust is not just given, it's earned and easily lost. When someone confides in you, they're placing you in their inner circle. They believe that you're mature, loyal, and respectful enough to carry a part of their vulnerability. Breaking that trust, even just once, can permanently damage how others see you and how they trust you moving forward. You might think, I'm just telling one other person, they won't say anything. But information has a strange way of spreading, even when no one intends harm. A casual mention to someone else becomes a whisper to another, and before long, it gets back to the person who trusted you. And that's when things unravel. Performing arts, the double damage, to them and to you. When you break someone's confidence, you don't just hurt them. You also damage your own integrity. People will start to wonder, if they shared that person's secret, what are they saying about me? Can I trust them with my own personal stuff? Over time, this creates a reputation you do not want. The person who can't keep their mouth shut. Even if the secret doesn't seem that big to you, or if the person never said, don't tell anyone, the respectful thing is to treat it like sacred information. Unless someone is in real danger and you're morally or legally required to speak up, keep it to yourself. Brain psychology of trust and gossip. Psychologists have studied this behavior. Sharing secrets can give us a temporary feeling of closeness with someone else. It's why people gossip. It makes them feel included, important, or in the know. But the consequences usually outweigh the short-lived satisfaction. Instead of building trust, you might be unintentionally building walls. Even if you're well-meaning or trying to warn someone, ask yourself, would I want someone sharing my secret like this? Stop signing the justifications people use and why they fail. Here are some common excuses people give when they break a confidence and why they don't hold up. I was just venting. If it's about someone else's personal business, find a better outlet. Venting doesn't justify betrayal. They didn't say it was a secret. Use emotional intelligence. If it felt personal, private, or vulnerable, it probably was. It's for their own good. Unless you're protecting them from harm, don't use that as a shield for oversharing. YW checkmark what to do instead. Hold the line. Even when you're tempted to tell someone, resist. If it's eating you up, write it down in a private journal, not a group chat. Talk to a therapist or counselor if you feel burdened by someone's secret and need support without breaking their trust. Seedling long-term rewards of being trustworthy. People who keep confidences gain long-term respect. Friends feel safe around them. Partners rely on them. Coworkers promote them. When you're seen as a vault, people are more likely to open up to you because they know they won't be judged, mocked, or exposed. Compass real-world example. Imagine your best friend tells you they're going through a breakup but haven't told anyone else yet. You casually tell someone else who tells their friend, and suddenly your best friend gets a sympathy message from someone they never confided in. Now you've not only betrayed their trust, you've robbed them of their timeline, privacy, and control. That's how damage happens, quietly but deeply. Number 2 is future plans until they're real. There's something exciting, almost addictive, about sharing your goals and dreams. You post that you're starting a business. You tweet about your new job application. You casually tell someone you're planning to move abroad or launch a YouTube channel. It feels empowering. You imagine applause, encouragement, validation. But here's the truth that stings. Sharing your future plans too early can kill your momentum, attract negative energy, and set you up for disappointment. That's why the second thing you should never tell anyone is your future plans. At least, not until they're real. The psychology of premature sharing. Studies in behavioral science show that when you tell others about your goals, your brain gets a premature sense of achievement, as if you've already done the work. This creates a false sense of accomplishment, and in many cases, you lose motivation to actually follow through. That rush you feel when someone says, "That's awesome. You're doing big things," is your reward system being tricked, and it can make you stall before you've even begun. Keep it quiet. Build it loud. You've probably heard the phrase, "Move in silence. Let your success make the noise." That's not just poetic, it's practical. When your dreams are still in development, they're fragile. They're like seeds, not ready for harsh weather or outside criticism. The more people you expose them to, the more pressure and doubt you might unintentionally invite. Your coworker might say, "You? A business? That's risky." A friend might reply, "I heard that industry's already saturated." A family member might warn, "Are you sure that's a smart move right now?" Even if they mean well, their voices can plant hesitation where there was once fire. Smiling face with horns, not everyone wants you to win. Here's something hard to admit. Not everyone who listens to your plans is rooting for you. Some people smile to your face, then hope for your failure. Others compare themselves to you and feel secretly resentful. Even friends may feel insecure watching you rise. So while you think you're sharing exciting news, they might be internally hoping it falls apart, and energetically, that matters. Keep your vision protected until it's strong enough to stand on its own. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're smart. Magnifying glass still to the left when is the right time to share? There's a simple rule. Don't announce it until you've done it, or you're 100% locked in and moving. Instead of, "I'm thinking of writing a book," try, "My manuscript is almost done. I'll be publishing this fall." Instead of, "I might launch a YouTube channel," say, "My first 3 videos are ready. Launching next week." This small shift shows you're not just dreaming, you're executing. White heavy checkmark what happens when you keep your plans private. You preserve your energy. No outside noise, no distractions, just focus. You stay accountable to yourself. No false satisfaction from early praise. You can pivot silently. If something doesn't work out, you don't owe anyone an explanation. Privacy gives you freedom. The freedom to fail quietly, retry quietly, and succeed loudly when it's time. Brain real-life examples. Let's say you're planning to quit your job and start a freelance career. You tell your coworkers before anything is confirmed. Now the gossip starts. Your boss finds out. You suddenly feel pressure to follow through, even if you're not fully ready. But if you had waited until your freelance client list was stable and your finances were in order, you could have made the transition smoothly, confidently, and without outside noise. Another example, you're writing a screenplay. You tell friends and family. For months they ask, "How's the script coming?" Even when you're stuck in a block. Their constant questioning turns motivation into anxiety. Man in lotus position silence is power. This doesn't mean you should live in total secrecy or isolation. But be selective. Share your goals with people who want the best for you, have no hidden jealousy, are already where you want to be. In other words, talk to mentors, not naysayers. Confide in doers, not doubters. The fewer people who know your next move, the less energy you waste explaining, defending, or doubting yourself. And when you finally emerge with results, you'll shock everyone who underestimated you. Number 3 is your biggest weaknesses or insecurities. There's a dangerous myth floating around these days that full transparency equals realness. That unless you're constantly baring your soul, sharing your fears, your struggles, and your insecurities, you're somehow being fake. Here's the reality. Your weaknesses and insecurities are not public property. In fact, your vulnerabilities are powerful, and that's exactly why you must protect them. Direct hit why oversharing isn't the same as being honest. There's a huge difference between authenticity and oversharing. Being authentic means showing up as your real self. It means being truthful and grounded. But oversharing is when you give away too much of yourself to people who haven't earned that kind of access. When you reveal your deepest insecurities to the wrong people, you give them tools they can use against you, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes deliberately. Brain insecurities are emotional ammo in the wrong hands. Let's say you open up about your fear of public speaking. You're just being real, right? But then someone brings it up sarcastically at a meeting. Don't worry, we won't make you talk. We know how nervous you get. It might be a joke to them, but it sticks with you. You feel exposed. You become more anxious, more self-conscious, and now your fear has grown roots. That's how fast an innocent moment of vulnerability can become a long-term issue. Man-standing, not everyone deserves your soft spots. You wouldn't hand a stranger the keys to your home. So why would you hand them the keys to your emotional core? Even people who seem close, coworkers, distant friends, acquaintances, might not be emotionally mature enough to respect your vulnerabilities. They might gossip. They might downplay your feelings. Or worse, they might use them to manipulate you later. The people you open up to should be trustworthy, empathetic, safe, consistent over time. If they don't check those boxes, then keep your cards close. Speech balloon, but I'm just being open. The trap of vulnerability culture. Modern social media culture encourages people to get raw, get vulnerable, show your broken parts. And while some of that can be healing in the right context, like therapy, support groups, or art, it's not always wise in everyday life. Why? Because vulnerability requires safe containers. And the internet, casual conversations, or surface-level relationships often aren't that. Sometimes people overshare because they're craving connection. But connection built on unfiltered trauma dumps rarely leads to deep, healthy bonds. It usually leads to discomfort, awkwardness, or judgment. Prohibited insecurities are not icebreakers. Using your pain as a way to make people like you can backfire. Sharing your struggles too soon can make others feel responsible for your emotional weight or see you as unstable. That's not fair to them, and it's not safe for you. Instead, build connection first. Share slowly over time. Let trust grow before revealing your wounds. White heavy checkmark what to do with your insecurities instead. Acknowledge them privately. Journaling, meditation, or quiet reflection helps you process them. Talk to a professional. A therapist or coach is trained to help you explore your weaknesses in a supportive, non-judgmental way. Use them as fuel. Insecurity about your skills? Let it push you to learn more. Fear of rejection? Use it to develop boundaries and self-worth. Your weakness doesn't have to be a limitation. In private, it can become your motivation. Counterclockwise arrows button, the confidence reversal. Ironically, when you keep your insecurities private and work on them silently, you begin to outgrow them. What once scared you starts to lose its power. You don't need validation from others to feel okay, because you're building strength from the inside. That's real confidence. Not the loud kind that needs attention, but the quiet kind that needs no permission. Compass real-world example. Imagine you're in a new relationship. You feel insecure about your body. Maybe you've struggled with it for years. If you open up too soon, before trust is built, that person might say the wrong thing, even if they mean well. You interpret it as judgment, your insecurity deepens, and now you feel exposed and misunderstood. But if you take time to know this person, see how they handle other sensitive topics, build emotional trust, then sharing becomes a bridge, not a risk. Light bulb, your insecurity is not equal to your identity. Just because you feel self-doubt in some areas doesn't mean you have to wear it on your sleeve. You are not your fear. You are not your anxiety. You are not your past. You are someone in progress, and not everyone deserves a behind-the-scenes look at your construction phase. Number 4 is family problems or private conflicts. There's an old saying, don't air your dirty laundry in public. And while some people dismiss that as outdated advice, there's deep wisdom in it, especially when it comes to your family. Every family has drama, conflict, or scars. That's just part of life. But the 4th thing you should never tell anyone, especially casually or publicly, is your private family problems. DNA why family matters, even when it's messy. Family is complex. Whether you're extremely close or barely on speaking terms, your family shapes your identity. So when you share intimate details of family arguments, dysfunction, or pain, you're not just talking about them. You're revealing something deeply personal about yourself. Yes, being real is important. And yes, it's okay to need support when you're dealing with tough family dynamics. But there's a big difference between seeking help from the right person and broadcasting private struggles to people who don't need to know. Shushing face, some things belong in private. Imagine this. You casually tell your coworker about your brother's addiction or your parents' toxic fights. You think you're venting, maybe even bonding. But later, you realize that coworker repeated it to someone else. And now people at work are whispering about your family. What started as a release turned into gossip. Now you feel ashamed or exposed. And your family, who may not even know you shared those details, would feel betrayed if they found out. That's why keeping family issues private is not about pretending to be perfect. It's about respecting boundaries, both theirs and yours. Warning, not everyone will understand or deserve to know. People outside your family don't carry the same context. They didn't grow up in your home. They don't know the emotional layers. So when you tell them something like, "My mom is so manipulative," or "My dad never supported me," they form judgments without the full picture. And unfortunately, those judgments might extend to you. Suddenly, they view you as damaged, emotionally unstable, from a bad background. Even if it's unspoken, it can affect how they treat you, socially, professionally, even romantically. Grimacing face family conflict isn't content. This one's important in the age of social media. Your family's pain is not content. Posting about your parents' divorce, your siblings' mistakes, or your holiday arguments for likes or sympathy might feel empowering, but it often backfires. You invite opinions you never asked for. You create a digital footprint that never goes away. You risk damaging real relationships over temporary validation. Even if you delete it later, screenshots live forever. And once it's out there, it's out of your control. Hammer and wrench, when you do need to talk, do it wisely. None of this means you should suffer in silence or bottle everything up. That's not healthy either. But choose your audience carefully. YW checkmark, here's who it's okay to talk to. A licensed therapist. A close, trusted friend with strong emotional intelligence. A mentor who has lived through similar struggles. A spiritual advisor or support group. These people won't judge you. They'll listen. They'll guide. And most importantly, they won't repeat it. Compass real-life example. Let's say your parents are going through a bitter divorce. You're stressed, heartbroken, and angry. You tell a casual friend every detail. How your mom cries every night. How your dad's dating already. How it's destroying your trust in people. They nod sympathetically at first, but weeks later, you hear your story twisted at a party. Suddenly, you feel exposed. Your pain is entertainment, and your parents never agreed to have their lives shared like that. If instead you had spoken to a counselor or journaled your feelings, you could have worked through that pain without losing control over it. Brain protecting them protects you. Even if your family made mistakes, you still share their name, their energy, their reflection. The more you protect their privacy, the more dignity you bring to yourself. It doesn't mean you're defending their bad behavior. It means you're choosing discretion over drama. Lightbulb, what to do instead. Journal privately. Writing is therapy. Let out without risking exposure. Set boundaries. If a friend tries to pry, say, "It's something I'm still processing. I'd rather not go into details." Redirect the conversation. Focus on how you are handling things, not on how your family is failing. Build a safe circle. 1 or 2 confidants is enough. Don't turn your entire friend group into an emotional dumping ground. Number 5 is past mistakes that could be used against you. Everyone has a past. We've all made choices we're not proud of. Mistakes, regrets, errors in judgment. Whether it was something you said, something you did, or something you allowed, it's part of your journey. You've grown since then. You've learned. But here's the truth. Your past mistakes are not for public consumption, especially the ones that could be used against you. That's why the 5th thing you should never tell anyone casually is your personal past mistakes, especially the kind that people could hold over your head, weaponize, or distort. Firecracker, your past is real, but it's also ammunition. Think about it. When someone knows your darkest slip-ups, maybe a mistake you made in school, a relationship you ruined, a secret you swore to take to the grave, They now have something that could damage your credibility, your reputation, and even your relationships. And not everyone who hears it will respond with understanding. Some people will judge you silently, label you permanently, use it to control or shame you later. They'll say, "I'd never tell anyone," until they get angry, or jealous, or bored. Thought balloon vulnerability is not equal to full disclosure. Yes, it's okay to own your story. Yes, it's okay to heal out loud when you're in a safe space. But being vulnerable doesn't mean handing your history to just anyone who asks. Some people mistake emotional dumping for bravery. But there's no prize for being the most exposed person in the room. True strength is in being selective with your story, knowing who gets to hear what part and when. Busts in silhouette, even close people can misuse your past. You might think, "I trust them. They'd never do that." Maybe, but circumstances change. Relationships shift. People get into fights. Some breakups get messy. And suddenly, what you once shared in confidence becomes a screenshot, a rumor, or a reputation hit. A former friend might say, "Remember when they cheated on that exam?" An ex might whisper, "They used to lie all the time." A coworker might joke, "They almost got fired at their last job." Even if those things happened years ago, people love drama more than growth. How the brain works against you. Neurologically, people tend to remember negative information more vividly than positive. So if you share a story about stealing as a teenager, even if you're a totally different person now, some part of them will always associate you with that act. That's not fair, but it's human. It takes one slip up to be remembered for something you've spent a decade trying to move past. And that's why discretion is essential. Prohibited what not to share casually. Here are some examples of past mistakes you should think twice before revealing. Crimes or illegal behavior, even if minor or a long time ago. Infidelity in a past relationship. Cheating in school or at work. Serious addictions you haven't fully recovered from. Personal betrayals or lies you've told. Situations where someone got hurt, emotionally or physically. Are there exceptions? Of course, in therapy, rehab, legal settings, or trusted healing environments. But casual chats over coffee, first dates, job interviews, or social media posts. Not a place. YW checkmark what to share instead if you must. If you're in a situation where you feel like you need to explain a part of your past, focus on the lesson you learned, how you've changed, how it made you better. For example, I went through a really reckless phase in my early 20s. I lost some friends, and it taught me to take responsibility in a big way. That's mature, reflective, and shows growth, without oversharing the gritty details. Shield reclaiming power over your past. Owning your past doesn't mean airing your mistakes like confetti. It means saying, "Yes, that happened, but it doesn't define me." And it's not information for everyone. You don't owe your history to people who haven't earned your trust. Your mistakes may have shaped you, but they don't get to control you anymore. And when you guard those parts of your story, you keep your power in your own hands, not dangling in someone else's mouth. Magnifying glass-stilted left real-life example. Imagine you're at a party and someone brings up a reckless thing they did in college. You chime in with your own story. "Yeah, I actually got arrested once. It was stupid, but whatever." You think it's harmless. A good laugh. But someone else overhears, someone you just met, someone important. Later, that detail makes them second-guess whether to trust you. It creates doubt, not connection. Would have been better to say, "Yeah, college was wild. I definitely had some wake-up calls." And leave it at that? Absolutely. Number 6 is financial details, salary, savings, debt. Money is personal. It's one of the most misunderstood, judged, and sensitive topics in the world. People will talk openly about their relationships, their careers, even their traumas, but mention how much you make, how much you owe, or what's in your savings, and the entire vibe changes. That's because your financial details are one of the most private pieces of your life, and sharing them can lead to judgment, envy, manipulation, or even danger. Which is why the 6th thing you should never tell anyone is your income, savings, debts, or other private financial information. Dollar banknote: why people are obsessed with what you make. Money makes people emotional. It sparks competition, curiosity, insecurity, admiration, and even resentment. That's why questions like, how much do you make? What did your house cost? How much debt are you in? Can feel invasive and even offensive. Some people ask out of nosiness. Others want to measure themselves against you. And some may act supportive, but are secretly keeping score. Once they know what you earn or owe, they begin doing mental math. Why do they drive that car? How can they afford to travel so much? Wait, they're in how much debt? That judgment creeps in, even when it's unspoken. Brain money details shift how people see you. Let's say you tell someone you earn six figures. Suddenly, you're expected to pay more when you go out. Your financial stress is seen as not real. People might assume you're bragging or showing off, even if you're just being honest. On the flip side, if you share that you're broke, in debt, or struggling, people might pity you. They might distance themselves. Or worse, they might undervalue you, thinking you're irresponsible or lazy. No one ever sees you the same once they know your bank balance. Warning: the risk of oversharing financial details. Here's what can happen when you're too open about money. People start asking for favors or handouts. You make a lot. Can you cover this? You attract jealousy or gossip. Must be nice to be rich. She's loaded, and she still acts broke. You become a target for scammers or opportunists. Especially online. If people think you have money, they might try to exploit you. You damage relationships. Friends might feel less than. Romantic partners might become resentful. Even family members might change their expectations of you. Money reveals people's values, and not always in good ways. Stop sign: financial information is not for casual conversation. Unless you're speaking to a financial advisor, banker, accountant, or tax professional, most people don't need to know. Your salary, your savings account balance, how much debt you're in, what you paid for your home or car, how much you have invested. Even people close to you, friends, coworkers, social media followers, don't need those details. Some might argue that talking openly about money reduces stigma. And while financial education is important, your personal numbers are not required to educate others. You could talk about general concepts, budgeting, saving, investing, without revealing the exact dollar amounts. Compass real-life example. You tell a close friend that you got a raise and now make $85,000 a year. At first, they're happy for you. But later, you notice something shifted. They stop inviting you out. They roll their eyes when you mention money. You hear from a mutual friend that they said, "Must be nice to have money. No wonder they're always buying stuff." Now your good news has turned into social tension. And the worst part? You can't take it back. Why'd have you checkmark what you can say instead? When people pry or ask questions about money, you can politely deflect. "I'm working on my finances, but I keep it private. Let's just say I'm staying smart about it. I'm more focused on goals than numbers." These responses give nothing away, and they train people to respect your boundaries. Light bulb: save the numbers for the right people. There are only a few situations where it makes sense to talk actual money. With your financial advisor. In a serious relationship where you're combining finances. In negotiations, like for a job or business deal. When you're mentoring someone with intention and clarity. In all other cases, your money is your business, and oversharing invites more problems than benefits. Money bag: don't flex. Don't flinch. Some people overshare money to flex, showing off their income or assets to gain attention or admiration. Others do it from insecurity, trying to prove they're doing okay when they don't feel like it. Both are rooted in external validation. But your financial life isn't a contest or confession. It's a private journey that only you need to understand and manage. No 7 is passwords, pins, or security information. Some things are obvious, and yet, surprisingly, still ignored. We lock our doors at night. We double-check the stove. We carry wallets, hide valuables, and keep private things in private places. But when it comes to the digital world, people still slip up in ways that can lead to financial loss, identity theft, or worse. That's why the 7th thing you should absolutely never tell anyone is your passwords, PIN codes, and any personal security information. Close lock with key, but I trust them isn't good enough. Maybe it's a partner, a best friend, a sibling. You think, "I can share my Netflix password. What's the harm?" Then it becomes Well, maybe just my email. They needed to check something. Next thing you know, your whole digital footprint is accessible to someone else, and you've lost control over your personal, financial, and even professional life. Even if they have good intentions, circumstances change. Friendships fall out. Relationships end. People get hacked. Devices get stolen. And now your information is out there, without a clear way to take it back. Warning sign: the real dangers of sharing passwords. 1. Identity theft. If someone gets access to your email, they can reset your passwords, read sensitive info, access banks or tax accounts, and even impersonate you. 2. Financial loss. Banking logins, shopping accounts, crypto wallets. One shared password could result in drained accounts or unauthorized purchases. 3. Privacy breach. Photos, messages, cloud storage, even innocent files can become leverage if they fall into the wrong hands. 4. Career damage. If your work email or social logins are compromised, your job and reputation could be at risk. And here's the scary part. Most people aren't hacked by strangers. They're hacked by someone they know. Don't make it easy for them. It's not just about what you share. It's about how casually you treat your information. Here's what you should never do. Don't use your pet's name and birth year as a password. Don't store passwords in unprotected notes apps. Don't tell someone your security question answers. Don't reuse the same password across all platforms. Cybercrime is increasing year after year, and attackers target the lazy, careless, and over-trusting. If you wouldn't leave your house keys on a public bench, don't do the same with your digital keys. Counterclockwise arrows, but I need to share access. Sometimes, people genuinely need access to things. Your assistant needs to post on your brand account. A loved one helps manage your medical files. A partner shares your streaming platforms. So how do you share responsibly? Whitehaven use password managers with team access features, like LastPass or 1Password. Whitehaven use temporary codes or 2FA, two-factor authentication, when possible. Whitehaven never give full access to critical accounts like email, banking, or IDs. Whitehaven always have a recovery plan in case something goes wrong. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being prepared. Speech balloon, but it's just Netflix. No, it's not. That 1Password might not seem like a big deal. But if you use it for multiple accounts, like most people do, you've just opened the floodgates. Hackers use a technique called credential stuffing, where they try your leaked Netflix password on your Amazon, Gmail, PayPal, and beyond. If they get lucky once, they're in everywhere. So, yes, even a shared Netflix password can become a problem. Real-life example. A man shared his Apple ID and iCloud password with a girlfriend during their relationship. After a breakup, she still had access and started tracking his location, reading his emails, and deleting photos from shared devices. He trusted her, but when emotions changed, his privacy was destroyed. Or take this case. A woman saved her partner's bank info on her browser. After they broke up, he never changed his passwords. One day, money started disappearing from his accounts. He couldn't prove it was her, but the digital trail was gone. Once someone has your keys, they don't need your permission anymore. Whitehaven protect yourself like no one else will. Here's how to safeguard your security. Use strong, unique passwords for every account. Activate two-factor authentication, 2FA, wherever possible. Change your passwords regularly, especially after breakups or job exits. Never share security question answers, like mother's maiden name or first car. Avoid public Wi-Fi when accessing sensitive accounts. Don't write down passwords where others can find them, especially not on paper or in public notes apps. Your privacy is your power. Don't give it away for convenience.